Welcome to the Right Place podcast, where we learn with you how to navigate the world by building connections that matter, relationships that last, and businesses that thrive. My name is John Watson, and today I'm joined by co-host and founder of The Right Place, Mr. Rudolf Rautenbach. Rudolf, how are things going on your side today?
Good, John. Thanks. I've been so busy the last week or so that I sometimes forget which day it is, but it's better to be too busy than not to have work at all, I suppose.
No, absolutely. Look, as long as it's good busy and not bad busy, we can't complain. We got to make things happen here in South Africa. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you today. We've got an interesting topic. We're going to be talking about the Lifework Leadership Program. This is a program that you started in 2023. And this year you're a group leader, right?
Yeah, I joined it last year. It's been in South Africa, I think, since 2015. I joined it last year, and it's actually one of those things that I believe could change the way I think and work and relate with people. And I've been asked to be a group leader this year, and it's actually quite a privilege to be in that position where I'm able to influence other people now in the same setting. So I quite enjoy it. We started about a month or so ago formally, and had our first contact session with the groups and so on last week, and it's been very exciting, and I enjoy imparting what I know and just walking with people, having a journey with people.
In a nutshell, what is Lifewood Leadership about? What's the point of this program that you're currently on?
Yeah, so you're saying in a nutshell, but I want to start it off maybe with a story. So last year I got invited to this open day, and Vusi Temukwaya, the public speaker, and he was the guest speaker or the keynote on that evening. Someone gave me a ticket, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to go and do this. I wanted to see him for very long. I think he's a great speaker. And then I pitch up there and I hear what it's about, but this Vusi is obviously a standout. And I thought to myself, this is really something that I could do, but it's also not cheap. It's cost a few rand, and I've been mulling over it. Should I, shouldn't I? And my wife actually said, listen, she wants to sponsor me to go and do this, and she's a teacher, so she doesn't earn as much, but she felt I should go and do it. So what it is, what I thought it was at the time was that it's a lot of leadership advice and big guys from the corporate world and leaders in our country coming to tell you almost how they've done it, what works for them, and obviously a lot of business people in the room. But it's a bit of a blend in that, but primarily focused on a Christian foundation. So it's not an undertone. It's primarily walking on a platform of how did Jesus do it while he was on earth, and from that perspective, the leadership qualities that comes out of that. And whether you are religious or not, I do believe from that point of view, the way Jesus worked with people, how he imparted knowledge, the compassion he had, but his leadership qualities, I suppose it's beyond refute. So it's a nice way of it and a different angle. The primary goal is to get you to live your religion and your church life, if I can say it like that, in the workplace as well, to use it as a ministry field and to impact on other people in the workplace as well, and how you can combine those two worlds with each other.
That's interesting, because oftentimes people are scared to even talk about religion at work, even to share their faith or to share something that happened at church or something that they read in their Bible that morning. So people are often scared to do that. But I think there's a lot more religious people, Christians, Muslims, whatever you are at businesses, and people think. And sometimes you just need to break the ice a little bit. Just say what you did on a Sunday. Don't be scared to say something. And I think maybe a program like Lifewood Leadership can bring that more to the forefront. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. of the primary view that I would not go and challenge people on religion. I believe that the way I live and what I do and what I say and how I integrate myself within that community, within the workplace community or my friends or so on, should speak loud enough. I don't have to go and preach. I always joked about this guy walking with a Bible under the arm and just preach it to everyone. Or you've all seen that clip with a bullhorn preacher that just shouts at people. And I think that is disruptive, and it's also negative to the religion. So I'm not that. I'll probably never be that. If someone asks me, I'll talk to them about how I see things and what I believe, but I'm not going to be a person that screams at you, this is how it works and this is the right thing and so on. So I do believe that your actions should speak louder than what you say, how you do things, and how you relate to people. And if that triggers a conversation, then great. If it doesn't, then I carry on, and so should you. So we can be friends. We can be across religious groups, across different industries. We respect everyone, and I'm firmly of the grounding principle that that's how I believe it should work in the workplace. You cross that bridge of integrating these different aspects of your life by being the same person in all of those different spheres. So at work, at home, at the church, be the same person. The consistency, doing the right thing everywhere, I think is more important than trying to be on a pedestal on certain parts of this. So I think definitely Lifework would assist or drive towards integrating fully your work and your religion and your home into one sphere rather than these isolated boxes.
Now that makes a lot of sense, Rudolf, because you can't just be a Sunday Christian. You've got to be a Monday to Sunday Christian. And people follow your actions. People are attracted to you by what you do and how you make them feel and what you inspire in them. So if you're doing it just for show, people are going to see through that eventually. Now, Rudolf, you went through this program in 2023. Tell us a little bit about that journey. What surprised you? What were some of your key takeaways from the first year being with Lifework Leadership?
I'm always too scared to answer that question, John, because I spoke to 2 or 3 of the other leaders at Lifework end of last year, beginning of this year, and they ripped me apart because I keep on telling the story that I came there because I thought it's going to be this leadership thing where I'm going to learn from big business guys. And so that was my mindset. That's why I went. And as the year progressed, I realized that I was actually disappointed at some stage that it's not that, because that's what I paid for. That's why I'm there. And then, but as the year progressed, I realized that it's not just that. There are big speakers and there are famous or popular or good businessmen that come and talk. But I got more value out of the group discussions, learning from the people around the table in the end, but also seeing how people that have gone through a process of integrating what they've done in the workplace, as well as their faith, as well as some of the grounding principles in their life, how they live it in the workplace. And I've probably learned more from that. And maybe I'm a slow learner. The penny dropped rather late as to how this works. And to qualify that a bit, beginning of last year, I was in a completely different space, work-wise and in my personal life. And through this year, I can't credit Lifework for that. I think through the year, things have moved on quite fast. But at the same time, Lifework Leadership was a part of the process where I got to learn different aspect of business. And at the beginning of the year versus the end of the year, I think both of those were a matter of getting to a point where I can see things have really shifted. Things have moved on quite dramatically. And I think the person that I am today versus a year ago is drastically different in terms of professionalism, but also my approach on certain aspects and my approach to work, why I do it, and how I want to do it has definitely changed. And I think Lifework had a big deal in that, because I got to know from other people how they see work and why we work, and how we can integrate these different angles of our life. So definitely something that I believe could change the way we think, purely because we want to improve ourselves, but secondly, because we allow the influences, or influences might be a bad word, but the views of other people to shape us, and primarily found it in the Bible then.
No, that's very interesting. I like the part about the integrations. I think we mustn't forget that you're a leader in your business, you're a leader at home, you're a leader in church, you're a leader where you go. So you follow yourself around. So if you have a different foundation for your leadership, depending on which role you're fulfilling, I mean, the house of cards is going to come crashing down. But if you have a firm foundation in your faith, in your values, in what you want to achieve in life, I think that will then have fruits in all the different aspects of your life, be it at home, at work, at play, at church. And I think that is something that I think a lot of people need to work on, and me included. So I think something like that's very interesting, that it kind of pulls us all together. It gives you that strong foundation. So Rudolf, what is the difference between this year and last year? Obviously, you've gone through the program, you've seen what it's about, but what is your role as group leader in 2024? What does that involve?
So how it functions is that there's functional leaders, and they are the guys who actually run the program. So they responsible for the keynote speakers, for the venues, for all the administrative things, and organizing all of it. The group leaders take responsibility for the people who actually attend and who enroll for the year's program. It's about 9 months, but it started in Feb and ends in November or so. And then the group leaders are not there to really teach. We are more facilitators in between the keynote speaker or the person that we do a case study on or things like that, and the feedback that we get the groups. So we get the groups to talk to each other, to discuss the topic that's just been dealt with. And on a typical session, we'll have about 4 hours. So it's a half day once a month, where we'll have a bit of a speaker about the way that Jesus worked when he was on earth. Then we'll have a case study of someone who implemented that in the workplace. And then the last part will be a keynote address with someone that comes and talks principally from a work perspective almost. And all on a specific theme for the day. But what we'll then do is, after each of those 3 speeches, there'll be a bit of a discussion where we give feedback and people will talk about their perspective or ask questions. And my role as a group leader is not to answer those questions. I cannot say that I'm qualified enough to answer all those questions coming through. There's about 8 to 10 people in a group, and then 2 group leaders. And we merely facilitate and guide the conversation there. But in between these sessions, we also have meetings with the group attendees, our group members, where we talk to them and ask them how it's going, encourage them, figure out if there's things that bother them about the process, and just build a relationship. And that's probably the part that I like most about the group leader side, is that I get to build new relationships out of it. And I've, in the last 2 weeks already, had 2 of my group members in a one-on-one session where we just had a coffee and a good chat about what they do, their personal lives, just to get to know each other. And I think it's also a nice networking environment where we rub shoulders with other people. But I see myself as a facilitator, we do not teach as a group leader. We're merely there to guide the conversation and to keep it aligned to what the topic of the day is.
Okay, good. So the people doing the Lifework Leadership Program for 2024, are they brand new people, or have some of them continued on from 2023? Is it just an annual program?
So the group leaders and the functional leaders are all people who did it in the past. So you don't climb in there and you just become a leader. The people who pay for their entry, the attendees or the members, then, if you will, they are all new. So there's not one that I can think of at the moment. We're 49 people in this cluster in this year's program, with about 12 or so leaders, maybe a bit more. So we're about 60. And those 49 are all new people. And then, interestingly, there is a way or an angle that we can try and branch it out to other areas as well. So I know there's a smaller group in the Cape, but we're also looking at some of the surrounding towns in the future, potentially to have a bit of a combined program where, say, if a town like Rustenburg, that's not too far from Pretoria, will have their own program, but at a breakaway, because once a year we have this 2-day breakaway where we have more session, but also get to know each other. We have a dinner together the evening and so on. Then in those sessions, we combine the group from Rustenburg and from Pretoria and so on. So it's all new people. It's a 1-year program. The group leaders and the functional leaders are people that came through it in the past, and they then would potentially impart their knowledge and experiences to the larger group. But yeah, you can do it 2 years in a row. I think there's value in it. The fact that the keynote speakers and the people coming to talk change year on year, I think could also get you to learn a lot of new things. And then also the topics remain the same, but we, for instance, had a keynote speaker that spoke about, say, courage last year, but this year came to talk about your worldview. So it's the same person, but he spoke about a completely different aspect. So you will learn new things from different perspective if you do 2 years in a row, I suppose. I'll tell you at the end of the year.
I really like how the program is set up. It sounds really clear, with a clear direction, clear foundation, and people know what to expect. Apart from the obvious, why would you encourage others to do it as well? I know it's obviously you've got some time commitment, there's a cost commitment, but why should someone commit to a whole year-long program like this?
Yeah, I think 2 things that I can quickly think of. One is the topics that get discussed is practical things. It's things that we all wonder about, that you might have a bit of doubt about. And like I mentioned, courage in the workplace. It sounds so stupid almost. So courage is one of these things that you never really think about. But once we start unpacking it, you realize that I sometimes do not have the courage of my conviction to do certain things in the workplace. I cannot just approach someone and say, listen, I want this, that, and that. But how do you do that? So I think there's a lot of value, firstly, in the content. The content is great. It's well packaged, and it gives you a lot of critical information that is a little bit different to what you do in a normal corporate setting for training, because that becomes rather technical, where this is a very subjective things that you have to think about and wonder, how do I do it? How am I actually living courage in the workplace? How am I driving that? How am I taking that chance without putting people at risk? So yeah, you get the idea on that. So that's the one thing. The second part is, for me personally, the relationship building side. I can attend a webinar every day. There's a heck of a lot of free ones. There are paid ones, and I'll get a lot of technical information. But on the webinar, I sit there, I listen, I carry on with other work in front of me sometimes. I don't get value out of the relationship building side, where it's over a period of time. And I suppose something like an MBA where you attend classes and so on could also have the same impact where you do a bit of group work together. But the relationship building is next level. I think you spend so much time together there, and with the interaction in your groups, what we try and do is to go to each of the other group members' workplace for an hour throughout the year and try and see what they do, how does it look, just to understand each other's work environment as well. So you really build a core relationship out of this process, and that you know me, I talk nonsense half the day at work, so I quite like that part of it quite a bit. Short story: one group from 2017 came to talk at the orientation day this year, and there were 5 people. They still have a 6 monthly get together. As the 5 of them, they were more in the group, but these 5 clicked. They've got a bride. Their spouses know each other now, so they became friends out of this process because of just implementing these simple concepts of meeting once a month at the workshop and have a once a month workplace meeting. And then they had a braai one weekend, and they just clicked and they carried on. So the relationship aspect, I think, is something that you can benefit from quite a bit, because it's like-minded people with the same core values and so on. You're bound to get something that everyone likes within your groups.
Yeah, the relationship building side, I think it makes it very attractive for me, and I'm sure for other people. People are desperate for connection. People might not show that they're desperate, but people want to connect with the right people in the right place. They want to have that surety that they're not alone on planet Earth. And I think something like Lifewood Leadership, where there is common values, is common ground, common faith, can give people comfort. Okay, this person is here for the same reason. I can reach out to them. I can be a bit more vulnerable. I can show a side that I don't normally show because I feel so isolated at work, or I'm all alone in my office. So I think the relationship building side is good. And also that it takes a year to go through the program. So like you said, it's not just a 5-minute intro and a 1-hour workshop. It is over weeks and months, and you get to build relationships. You get to see people for who they are. You get to learn from them. And I think the group learning sounds really good as well. That it is a lot of interaction, a lot of questions, and quite a varied curriculum that you are following. So that sounds really good. So Rudolf, in terms of 2024, what other topics is Lifework Leadership going to cover? You've spoken about courage. What else have you got up your sleeve for 2024?
Yeah, I think I mentioned courage quite a bit, because last year's session on courage really struck a chord with me, and I was challenged quite strongly on that. Mm-hmm. But some of the other things we started off this year with a session on your worldview. How do you see the world? And the guy that spoke actually came and spoke about money. The first thing when he said the topic, I'm like, worldview, money, I don't get the correlation. I don't see the link. And as he continued talking, I realized that, the money can blind you to certain aspects of life. If I've got a lot of money, I might look down on other people. If I don't have money, I become resentful. So it impacts and influences your worldview. And he spoke a lot about those type of aspects. And then obviously we had our debates and so on. One that I always look out for, and we're going to have it at Breakaway, is one, your calling. Why am I on earth? What is my purpose here? And I mean, we can become either very religious in that discussion or very practical. And I prefer the practical side, because I need to live it. I need to be here and do what I am. Why am I here? Why am I on earth? And what do I need to do while I am here? We only have so much time. And that is one that I did last year. Still haven't fully figured out, because I think it changes and it evolves. But a very challenging and engaging part of discussion. Then we talk about resources and getting your the flow of money. Why are we making money? Why are we in business, and what to do with that? Charity aspects around that as well. The last session every year is about your legacy. So what do you leave behind? We can leave a lot of money behind, and I'm talking about money again now, but we can leave a lot of that behind. But what do I leave behind in other people? What influence have I been in other people's lives, and to ensure that they become a better person because I was in their lives? So I think, a lot of giving, but not the money aspect of giving, the giving part of yourself and impacting other people for the better of the country, I suppose. So you can see the theme is quite a lot of introspection of myself in the workplace, yes, but also to be a better person altogether. And like I said, it can be very religious if that's the angle that you go in, but it's a practical thing of asking challenging questions that you can think about. You will not in that session get all the answers. You need to go and work through that within a month before the following session then.
Yes, I agree. I think you're going to have to spend some time reflecting on this. Also because, it's a lot of deep core questions that we sometimes avoid, questions that we sometimes make us uncomfortable to even think about or wonder about. But I think some reflection time during the whole Lifework Leadership thing, and just reaching out to the people that are there. Remember that you've got a safe space. Talk to the leaders. Talk to the people that have gone through this, and just start a conversation. And I think that's where you can get a lot of value out of something like this.
Also, I from my point of view, some of the speakers that came, I approached for the Irene Business Networking, because the topics that they talk of is so relevant, so relatable to other people, that they're very good speakers, firstly, and they get their message across, but also they're business people. So everyone that attends the networking sessions that we do would get some value out of those speakers. So great place to meet people that are at the top of their game from that point of view as well.
Excellent, Rudolf. I'm really pleased to see you giving back this year as a group leader, and seeing your journey last year was really good to see, and we've had a few discussions about everything that's come out of Lifewood Leadership. So just keep going, just keep giving, and I'm sure you're going to learn a ton more 2024. It's from a different point of view this time as a leader. But I'm sure it's going to add a lot of benefit to you and your networking as well. I think we're going to leave it there for today. Rudolf, it's been great talking to you again. Wish you all the best with Lifework Leadership in 2024. Any final thoughts before we close off?
Yeah, thanks, John. It's always nice to have a chat. I think I've spoken quite a bit now about the religious aspect behind it, and I think it is important that everyone do what they feel is the right thing for them in that regard. But people who know me will know that I don't just go out and walk over people with regards to religion or most other things as well. That's why I found the current session so important. But I think it is important that we do give each other space in that regard, and that we are able to live the way we believe is the best, and in our faith as well. And I think in South Africa especially, we sometimes almost too scared to say or do anything because of the past, and just getting people in trouble or yourself. So I think something like this would helps me to be the person that I believe I should be, but also to make an impact where I go and through what I do. Yeah, so definitely something that I would encourage people who are interested in that aspect as well to do in the future. But yeah, that's all I had to say.
Thank you so much for listening, Rudolf. Thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time at the right place.